Used to make, I think currently like 500 million a year with the new deal with Paramount Plus. They'll be making 1.1 billion a year. So the money's there. Obviously the fans, now we get to see all. I thought that was a very interesting call out. Andre Ward, if you guys don't know who that is, he was a champ who retired at 32 years old, undefeated, at the top of the game, and he just left boxing on his terms. It looked like he was shooting for the takedown, and LaRon Murphy just read it perfectly. So, man, hell of a performance, LaRon Murphy. Pico, you're still a dog, my boy. No worries. Get back down and ground and pound. He could have finished him a few of those times. Kept calling him back up, and then he found himself in some trouble in the third round. Luckily, he was able to, hold on. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 25 of the Daily Dose Podcast. Happy Monday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This podcast is sponsored by Jackpack LLC, all organically grown cannabis right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as well as 1GM Construction. Tap in with them for all your roofing and construction needs. Let them know you heard it on the Daily Dose Podcast for 10% off. Great episode today, guys. Tons of stuff to go over. Great fights over the weekend. Decent card coming up this week. Lots of current topics. Let's get right into it, guys. UFC 319. Wow, guys, that was a hell of a card. Tons of good fights. Where do we start off here? Well, let's go. So Joseph Morales wins the Ultimate Fighter season at flyweight. That was a great fight. Ended up getting the submission. Those dudes were scrapping. That was a really good fight. The second one on there, that women's flyweight, it was pretty boring kind of. I mean, it was, decent. I thought it could have gone either way. That one chick, Barbosa, and her team seemed like dumbfounded, like they had no idea how they lost. But I don't know. I thought the Silva chick won round 2 and 3, so I'm not sure what was going on there. But it was getting a little chaotic at the end. Jakar Klaus beats Edson Barboza. Neither one of these guys will ever hold a belt at 55, right? No disrespect to either one. Even Jakar Klaus, I don't know if something was going on. He just didn't look like he was fully putting his feet on the gas. He was pretty sloppy. I just felt like if he would have, put his foot to the pedal to the metal, he probably could have got him out of there. I get you got to respect Barbosa, but he's super old. He's been, weight class to weight class, finished, everything like that. So I felt like he could have went for it, but who knows? Alexander Hernandez had a beautiful TKO over Chase Hooper. Just caught him, clean shot. Right in the first round, it was ending. Caught him with the ground and pound. There's only a few seconds left. That was a pretty good shot. Lupe Godinez and Jessica Andrade. Of course, kind of a lot of these fights with Andrade, I felt like Lupe was landing more volume, but every time Jessica was landing, it was cracking her. So shout outs to her. It seemed like if that was a 5-round fight, it actually might have gone Andrade's way, but they gave the decision to Lupe. Great fight, entertaining. I think the Silva chick trains at Fighting Nerds, and then as well as this Michael Oleksiejczuk. He TKO'd Gerald Mershart. He's with them Fighting Nerds. They went 3-0 on the card. Something's going on with those guys. They got it, man. And then, of course, to end the prelims, you had Bay Sangar. This was Khamzat's training partner. This kid had a $200,000 Patek on. I don't know what they doing out there in Russia, but I need some money like that. So he fought on Tuesday on the Contender Series. Tells Dana he wants a fight. He gets in. I don't know if the UFC jitters, back-to-back fights. He was struggling that first round. He got wobbled a few times. It was looking a little sketchy. And then he ends up getting a submission. So shout-outs to him. Now he's got the jitters out of there. He made it. I think he's like 24 years old. Be really cool to see where he goes. Now you get to the main card. Tim Elliott versus Kyle Sakar. Tim Elliott showed he still got it. Gets a submission in the second round. Very awkward. Like in the first round, he was like almost extra awkward. Not really throwing much. Kind of moving back and forth. And Asakar was actually having a little bit of success. And he ended up getting taken down and ultimately got guillotined. But that was a pretty good fight to start it off. Now, I called this wrong. MVP, I don't know if he's finally settled or what. He put a beating on Jared Cannonier. Now, my one critique would be kind of like Nate Diaz, where I felt like if MVP really went for it, got down and ground and pound, he could have finished him a few of those times, kept calling him back up, and then he found himself in some trouble in the third round. Luckily, he was able to, hold on and survive. But if he'd got finished, whether submitted or ground and pounded, after all the opportunities he had, guys, learn from MVP. Great performance, did a lot of good. When you have a guy hurt, get him out of there, right? You don't get paid extra. You don't get paid overtime. You don't want to end up giving them an opportunity Get him out of there when you have the chance. Now, like I said, another fighting nerd, Carlos Pratas. Goodness gracious. With 1 second left in the first round, throws a spinning back elbow, knocked Geoff Neal completely out, head bleeding. I mean, insane. Dude was smoking cigarettes in the post-fight press conference. He's a straight goon. That shit was nuts. Hell of a fight, though. Hell of a performance by him. Then fighting nerds. They got Kaya coming up here soon, so I think 2 weeks. And then the co-main event, you had Ron Murphy bringing in the Bellator guy. Now, one thing I do want to say, I think it was kind of from the promotions kind of having this beef, but I don't like, and bear with me guys, I've been sick all week, but I don't like that UFC brings these Bellator guys in. And of course, Aaron Pico said he wanted it, but they give him like the hardest, toughest matchup possible. You know, give him like a top 10, top 15. Let him get those UFC jitters out. Let him get his feet wet. But in the co-main event, Ron Murphy, a spinning back elbow TKO over Aaron Pico, back-to-back spinning elbows. That one was nuts. So Pico was having success. He was kind of blitzing in there. He was landing good liver shots, and then he was going for the takedown. So unfortunately, it looked like he was shooting for the takedown, and Ron Murphy just read it perfectly. So, man, hell of a performance, Ron Murphy. Pico, you're still a dog, my boy. No worries. Get back out there. I'm sure you'll bounce back. Tough way to get in there. But, yeah, like I said, I think it's not the fighters. It's the promotions that started that. But why not give these guys a little easier shot? You know, I know Bellator fighters are 0-3 this year. Patchy losing to Batista, Patricio losing to Yair, and now Ron Murphy KOing Pico. So those are just tough matchups, but that's the way it goes. Now in the main event, the Wolf, Khamzat Chimaev, absolutely mauls and manhandles DDP for 25 minutes. Well, 22 minutes, let's say. You know, he didn't capitalize off of him, so in that last couple minutes of the fight, he ended up in some scrambles where he could have been compromised, but nonetheless, dominant performance by Khamzat. Super boring, of course. It is what it is. No one's going to be able to stop it, so if you guys don't like it, don't tune in for his fights, because unless he finishes people, I mean, he didn't even give DDP a chance to see what it would be like on the feet. He just went out there and mauled him, so I would like to see more advancing of positions for TKOs or submissions. I'm sure DDP was strong, so it was hard, but yeah, it is a little tough. He did land 500 and some shots, but, you know, none of those shots were doing anything. Crucifixed him. He just big broed him. I mean, he just mauled him. There's nothing you could say. Absolutely nuts. I don't know who at 185 can stop him. He says if Pereira wins, he'll jump up and take that belt from him. This dude's a monster. I don't know what this guy is, but it was crazy. Yeah, boring for sure in the sense of entertainment, but in the sense of martial arts, like to maul and hold another man down like that is got to be tough. I know DDP's got a long flight back to South Africa. I'll be curious to see what they do for him next. I don't think, obviously, you run it right back, right? So I'll be curious to see what they do with him. Great card. 319 delivered. The pay-per-views always do, guys. So for the UFC, I wish they would just mix in a couple good ones on these fight nights so they're not so dead. Some of them end up being good, but on paper, it's like, come on, dog. So overall, that was a hell of a night, though. We got some decent fights coming up this weekend. I'm sure they'll be pretty early in the morning, guys, as they're from Shanghai, China. So obviously they're going to cater to that side of the world. Michael Fajeda, Austin Hubbard, Charles Johnson. Decent amount on the prelims. We get into the main card. Sergey Pavlich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Co-main event, we got Brian T-City Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. This is very interesting. Stylistic-wise and stuff, this could really go either way. Obviously, Ortega's struggled in the striking department. Aljamain's not necessarily the greatest either. They both have really good grappling, and so that could cancel out, and we could see a striking match that might lead to a submission from either one. I really don't even know how to call this, though. I mean, I really could see Aljo pulling it off. Should be a great fight. We'll see how it plays out. And the main event, you got Johnny Walker versus Zhang Minggang. That one's going to be crazy. Johnny Walker still hanging on, still around. I think Zhang Minggang in front of his people, he's going to knock Johnny Walker out for sure. So should be a great night. Oh, decent. Like I said, on paper, a lot of these fights corner to that side of the world, but they could end up being really good. So UFC's doing well. We got some big boxing events coming up. That's what's beautiful about fighting. It's not like football or basketball or anything like that. It's all year round. There can always be dope fights. So something to to keep in mind. You know, it's pretty funny too about this UFC 319. It was out there in Chicago. This boy Belal, the Decision King Muhammad, was telling people to check in. Buddy, are you serious? Ain't nobody in hell about to check in with you. There's no need to. Stop that, dog. You know you are nowhere about that life. I don't know. How long do you live in Chicago? I don't know none of that. Stop it, though. You are definitely not about to do anything. Ain't no reason to check in. You got that's the example when someone like we know is a goofball and they try way too hard, bro. Like, stop that. You know you ain't about to do a damn thing. It was funny too because I saw a thing of Khamzat was swinging DC around like a kid, like swinging him around. I'm like, man, the only thing beating this guy is Father of Time, or if he misses weight, if he gets too big for 85 or something. But that dude is an absolute monster. And then I saw that they announced Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Vicente Luque. I thought that was pretty interesting. That should be a great matchup. Both Brazilian guys, both been in the UFC for a long time. I didn't quite see what card it's on, but I would take Vicente Luque in that fight. So we'll see when it gets announced, the right date and everything. The BKFC announces the King of Violence returns, Mike Perry versus Jeremy Stephens. Now, man, I know Jeremy Stephens had success in his first one with I believe it was Eddie Alvarez, but man, these little guys just, in the sense of a littler weight class, if he can't hurt Perry, Perry breaks people. I'm sorry, guys. Perry was made for BKFC. He can take the punishment and he can give them back, not in a clean way. Like, he takes so much damage and keeps coming. He wears on you. He breaks you. I think Mike Perry gets Stephens out of there in 2 or 3. I think he's just going to be too big, too powerful. So, obviously, the UFC, everybody knows by now they're going to be on Paramount Plus. As far as I know, there's not going to be really any pay-per-views unless there's like a huge, huge one here and there. So it's pretty interesting, as long as how they're getting paid basically is through, their big deal. They used to make, I think currently like $500 million a year with the new deal with Paramount Plus. They'll be making $1.1 billion a year. So the money's there. Obviously, the fans, now we get to see all the fights for way cheaper. And the fighters, will they get twice the pay? Probably not. It's one of those things where, like, we usually always see people complain about fighters, not the pay, like the media people, these random people. Fighters that are making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, $300,000 a year. Yes, they could be getting more. I'm not saying that. But majority of those guys, there is not a chance in hell they're going to do anything else where they're going to make that much money in a year. The average fighter that didn't go to school, that doesn't have job experience, to make $100,000 a year just to train and fight, to get that money elsewhere, that's what a lot of people don't realize. A lot of these media people and this and that person critiquing. I'm not saying it's perfect or whatever, but when I personally talk to fighters, personal fighters I know, they are very thankful, and they say behind the scenes the UFC takes care of people for the most part, I think the main thing with the pay-per-view is that Conor McGregor, so when Conor McGregor was doing pay-per-views, he was trash talking. He was making everybody tune in by just pissing people off and being so crazy, right? And now I think that there's so much engagement and people are actually interested in fighting that we don't need that, right? Like this fight this past weekend, there was a little bit, but overall, we just knew there was 2 bad dudes, Khamzat, DDP, tune in. It's going to be a great fight. So it's just interesting how it changed. There was a time where everybody was trying to be like Conor, and now it's seeing like it's shifting to where people, if it's a good matchup and we know it's 2 bad dudes, even like Ilya Charles, there was a little trash talk, but really we just know it's going to be a crazy fight. So it's just interesting to see. Some boxing headlines. Dillian Whyte was KO'd on Saturday in the first round by some young 20-year-old kid. Crazy. Dude just came out there and absolutely smoked him. It was nuts. Erickson Lubin versus Sebastian Fundora announced. That should be a really good fight. Erickson Lubin, I'm not sure when's the last time he's been in there. He's had some ups and downs. Fundora is just huge for the weight class. For whatever he is, 6 foot something at 154 pounds. It's just crazy. Way too tall. Gervonta Davis's case was dismissed. No charges filed. So now again, guys, that makes it look like were they false allegations. I'm not too sure. But when that, a couple weeks later, you change your mind. And it's like, guys, that messes with people's career. And that also makes women that legit have problems and want to, get away from people and they want to call and file charges. When you guys lie or cancel it or change your mind, it just messes it up for everybody. So if you're legitimately being abused, you call, you get it taken care of. If you're not, don't, but especially someone in power and a boxer, the first thing when they hear that, people assume he beat her half to death. And again, I don't know the ins and outs. I'm not saying he's perfect. He's had previous issues, but if you do file the charges, put him in jail, you got to stand on it if he really did it. So that's what I will say about that. Hopefully he'll be in the ring soon. There's supposed to be that rematch with Lamont Roach Jr. Haven't heard anything official because it keeps just going up and down. Very interesting. I saw Andre Ward said that he would return to boxing for the right money, of course, the right matchup. He said someone that would interest him to make him get out of bed would be fighting at heavyweight versus Anthony Joshua. Now that's interesting. Obviously, he's way more technical and skilled in that department, but AJ is just huge. So I thought that was a very interesting call out. Andre Ward, if you guys don't know who that is, he was a champ who retired at 32 years old, undefeated, at the top of the game, and he just left boxing on his terms. Still had a lot to give the sport, in my opinion. Great fighter. Would love to see him give one more. Guys, you guys are really hurting Jake Paul's feelings. He's tired of people saying his fights are faked and rigged. In fact, he's hiring lawyers to go after people. If you have a podcast, if you have a channel, whatever it may be, if your narrative you're promoting is him having rigged or faked fights, he's coming for you guys. Be careful. You really hurt his feelings on this one. WNBA, man, they just can't catch a break. Like they had that little campaign where it said, let them cook. You know what I mean? And when we see women and just say, letting it cook, we're thinking about the kitchen, guys. That was a terrible campaign. Pay us what we're worth. And WNBA loses money every year. Now they're cracking down on these dildos being thrown on the court during the game. Guys, what's going on? Who is sneaking dildos into the court? That is just diabolical. Y'all got to stop that. Don't let them sneak dildos in to throw on the court. I don't know what's going on. Now they're just playing with y'all. That shit's crazy. Now, when you're a superstar or celebrity, when you're in a man in a position of power, your partner you choose is very important, right? Travis Hunter picks this woman. Some people thought it was a bad choice. He was acting like he was happy, the right thing. Now she's trying to divorce him and get $40 million. That is insane. You know what I mean? You met him when he was already on the rise. You came around for a little. Now you're trying to leave and you want $40 million. That is just absolutely crazy. I don't know what that chick is thinking. Hopefully she doesn't get that and it all works out. So let's go into some random topics kind of from podcasts and stuff I've seen throughout the week. First of all, I was watching a pod that I watch a lot, and the guy was saying that weed is a gateway drug. And what I'll say is this, is I've, smoked weed most of my life, more years than not, right? 20 years plus. Love it, this and that. I've never smoked a blunt, been like, you know what? This ain't doing it. I need crack or I need fentanyl. So I don't know what y'all people are talking about, but I've never smoked weed and been like, yeah, you know what? Let's shoot some heroin instead. So I don't know how it's a gateway drug. I think people just decide to do crazy shit, but I was like, I don't know, my boy. I'm going to have to disagree on that one. It was pretty crazy. I saw 504 and I guess was in jail. Nobody even knew or cared. All of a sudden he was like, I'm back. I'm out here. I'm doing it. Like, dog, we didn't even notice that you weren't posting, that you were gone. Usually at least his homeboys would be like, free him. He was straight ghost mode. So that was absolutely hilarious. Men in Atlanta are tripping, guys. The new viral trend out there is dudes wearing skirts. Now, that's an oxymoron. Real men do not wear skirts. Y'all look like goofballs. Look so weird wearing some, fresh stuff up top, some dope shoes with some skirts. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Y'all better stop it. That is not no damn trend we're getting behind. Paulo Costa. So let me pull this up. He posted some funny little tweets during the Khamzat fight, and I had saved them so we could see here. So he goes, illegally streamed the fight, and I want a refund. He posted a picture of Volk dressed as an old man asleep. And then he put, besides this fucking shit, I'm glad because I'm coming gourmet Chechnyan. No one wants to watch this shit. He was just going in, man. Illegally streamed and wants his money back. I feel the same. I mean, I'm going to be honest. The card was an absolute banger, but probably from rounds 2 to 4, I did fall asleep. I'm being 100% honest. But overall, super dope card. Could be a good card this weekend. Lots of current topics. Really appreciate everybody supporting the channel, guys. Of course, we're going to end on the message of the week. Envy is ignorance. Imitation is suicide. You must take yourself for better, for worse, as you are, and build from that. There's nothing better than the best version of yourself. Don't try and be anybody. Don't try and do anything that anybody tells you to do. Figure out who you are, what you want in life. Pursue that, and the world will bring it to you. I guarantee you that. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share episode 25 of the Daily Dose podcast. We'll see y'all next week.